It is no secret that Neal Brown is on the hot seat coming into this next season. But what effect has that had on in-state recruiting, specifically with our elite players? Well, we're going to talk about that right after this word from our sponsor. This episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Auto store near you.
This is for Cameron.
What is up? Welcome in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul, and you have landed yourself here again at Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Guys, I got to tell you, man, it's been a rough week and a half for me. Mold issues in my house. At first, we thought it was my sinuses. Come to find out I had some mold going on from a water leak, and it really messed me up. I had to go to a friend's house for a little while. It was hard to record there. I apologize for neglecting you. We're back in full force. As fall camp approaches tomorrow, we kick things off. And today, I've got a video that's there's a little bit of speculation involved, but there's really a lot of certainty as well. And I'm obviously talking about Neal Brown, his hot seat, and how I think it's probably affected some of the in-state recruiting with the elite players that we've had come out in this year's class. Two players specifically. We're talking about Jerrae Tank Hawkins, who is now signed with the Florida Gators, and we're talking about Robby Martin, who is up between WVU or NC State. But I'm hearing NC State is the lean here. And if that ends up being the case, guys, that's no good for West Virginia because we need our in-state players. We need to keep them at home. And I just wanted to speculate a little bit today on what exactly it is we're losing in these two really good players in Jerrae Tank Hawkins and Robby Martin. Now, obviously, Martin has not committed yet. Anything can happen in recruiting. But as of today, right before his recruitment, I'm being told it's almost a done deal. So I'm going to go ahead and say he commits to NC State. We'll see what happens after 6 o'clock. This video will come out. We'll see if I was right. We'll see if I was wrong. But I say NC State is the lead. Also, Jerrae Hawkins was a generational talent coming out of Wheeling, West Virginia. Ran a 4.240. And I got something from all Gators. And I just wanted to read a little bit about the kind of athletes these two players are, just so you can kind of get your head around the kind of players we're losing here. This is from SI.com. I just kind of put a smorgasbord of stuff together to give you an idea of what Hawkins was all about. The IMG Academy superstar, he did transfer out of West Virginia to IMG, which is one of the best in the country there in Florida. The IMG Academy superstar is one of the fastest prospects in the country, boasting a 10.37 second 100-meter dash result on the track and 4.25 second 40-yard dash time at an Ohio State camp. All Gators went to the film room to get an in-depth look at his skill set, as Hawkins will bring you to the future of University of Florida's offense. But it says Hawkins' pace as an athlete cannot be overstated in his scouting notes. Ohio State coaches clocked the recruit at 4.25 seconds in the 40-yard dash during a 2022 recruiting camp, and on the track has produced personal records of 6.69 seconds in the 60-meter dash, 10.37 seconds in the 100-meter, and 21.48 seconds in the 200-meter. His athletic testing results follow a trend set by most of the receivers Florida secured in the service of since Neighbor's arrival. He's also a smaller guy, but don't let that size fool you. Hawkins is a big play waiting to happen. He pairs his elite acceleration with excellent elusiveness, vision, and burst. Receivers with thin frames must learn to avoid taking big hits, as Hawkins is an expert at that skill. Whether he will be via short routes or design touches from behind the line of scrimmage, he consistently makes defenders miss in confined areas and turns what was initially a brief play into a big game. And so you see, guys, this is a huge loss for the West Virginia Mountaineers. I think it was really important we try to keep a kid like Hawkins in state. Now, we can't control that he goes to IMG Academy. I get that. But you can't tell me that if Neal Brown wasn't on the hot seat, this could have been a better result. He was also quoted in saying Pearsall, one of the Florida receivers, was averaging 20 yards a catch, and that was a big reason for the reason he looked at Florida. Go find me a West Virginia receiver that was averaging 20 yards a catch, guys. You can't find it. And so when these elite receivers come to your school and look at you, you've got to have something like that to tell them, guys, to motivate them, to visualize, conceptualize, to show them what they're going to look like in your offense. If you've got nothing but screen passes, drop balls, not high pointing the ball, in my opinion, our receiver room has probably been the most disappointing part of the offense since Neal Brown arrived, and he is a former wide receiver himself. So I think that's been something I've been really disappointed in. Although we have seen an uptick in the talent, we talk about Rodney Galler, Traylon Ray, guys like that, I still think Hawkins would have been a huge addition. You could say it's just as big as Rodney Gallagher to the receiver room, and I really wish he would have made that commitment to West Virginia, but alas, he's at Florida. He is not the only good player that I think is going to be missed out on. We're talking about, obviously, Robby Martin, who said he'll be committing July 31st. Push that back to 6 p.m. from what I understand. So that'll be coming in just about an hour. Class of 2024 offensive lineman Robby Martin, 6'4", 285 of Huntington, West Virginia, is ready to shut down his recruitment. Sunday afternoon, the top-rated player in the state announced that he will be making his commitment on July 31st at 3:30 p.m. We'll be choosing between Maryland, North Carolina State, Penn State, and West Virginia. But we all know that's pretty well down to NC State and West Virginia now. And let me tell you guys, this is a really, really talented in-state athlete. He's from the same area that Doug Nestor and Wyatt Milan are from, who played around the Spring Valley area, all in the same county at Cabell Midland, Huntington High School, and Spring Valley High School. They're all in the Cabell County area. So whatever they're putting in the water down here, which I'm very close to that area, keep doing it, because we're really breeding some nice offensive linemen, guys. And I would love to have paired this kid with Kyle Altuner, who I think is going to be the best, probably one of the most underrated offensive linemen in the class, guys, in the country. That's how big I am on Altuner. I like him just as much as I like Zach Frazier coming out. He's got that elite bend, that elite nastiness. Love it. But this is about Robby Martin. I would love to have paired him with Kyle Altuner. This kid is a road grader, guys. He's 6'4", 285 pounds, and he's got a lot of growing yet to do. I think once he gets into a collegiate weight room, he's going to be extremely explosive at the point of attack, and he could play any number of positions, guys, from the interior offensive line all the way swinging out the right or left tackle. I think he's going to be a big coup for whoever picks him up, and like I said, guys, I'm here in NC State. So let me know, guys, what do you think about losing these two players potentially? Would love to hear that from you guys down in the comments. If you could leave a comment below. If you haven't subscribed to Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, we ask you to do that. It's free. Subscribe to Mountaineer Paul Talks Football and like the video, guys. As always, we appreciate that. When you help feed the algorithm, the monster, we appreciate it. Is Neal Brown's hot seat to blame? Obviously, Neal Brown doesn't want to be on the hot seat. We don't want Neal Brown on the hot seat, but he's on the hot seat nonetheless. And none know that better than in-state recruits, right? These kids see it in the local papers, on the local Twitter, on the local social medias. They know Neal Brown hasn't performed up to task. Now, let me ask you this. If West Virginia was winning 8-9 games a year since Neal Brown got here, or the last couple of years, how better are our odds to land these players? Now, I'll admit, it's tough to contend with the SEC and other teams like that. Florida's a tough place to contend with. But when West Virginia's winning, our in-state kids want to come to West Virginia. It's just how it is. Now, thankfully, the end may not be in sight for Jerrae Hawkins and Robby Martin if he goes to NC State because of second recruitments, right? We know the transfer portal is a thing. A lot of times kids see that they don't want to be away from home. They end up coming back home. Maybe that's something that happens down the road, but I certainly do think that losing out on these two players are going to hurt West Virginia down the road just a little bit. We have to keep these players in state, guys. It's really important, not only for state pride reasons, transferring reasons, and a myriad of other reasons, but for us, guys, we love to pull for the in state kids, don't we? That offensive line we have on the field this year is a pride and joy. We love those guys. We love our in state kids, guys, and so I just think it's important for us to keep them. And unfortunately, Neal Brown being on the hot seat, in my opinion, is the reason. Really hope you enjoyed this episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, guys. Would certainly love to know your opinion on the Neal Brown hot seat situation, how you feel like it's impacted recruiting, especially locally, and also inside the locker room. This has been another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, guys. This episode is over. I'm out.
This is for Cameron. Cam.